Hello and welcome to the Hypertrophy Odyssey, chapter 434. It is the second day of the week, aka the special beam cannon workout. I'm feeling very good right now. Very excited for this workout. But anyways, to the main subject matter for today, generational debt. So, in today's episode, I wanted to be looking at the epidemic that we are probably reaching towards, and that is that most people nowadays have a shit ton of debt. Way more than they probably want to, because shit is, well, for lack of a better term, fucked when it comes to certain economic things. And speaking about that, eventually I will make an episode about the fake economy, because the economy isn't real. Money isn't real. But we'll talk about that in a future episode. But I think in this episode, I just wanted to talk about the not real number that is negative, that is actually impacting a lot of people, as they are death by 1,000 cuts did it, into oblivion, really. The reason why I wanted to discuss this is because this just has come up, and right now there's probably going to be a market crash sooner rather than later. And if there isn't, there should be, because of how bad it's getting, but kind of a different conversation. But I think that it is to the point now. I think most people understand that the dollar is not nearly worth as much as it once was. Of course, your dollar does not go as far as it once did. And not only that, but whatever it can get now it's worth much less. So you'll get less of a product. I mean, just generally speaking, that's just how it is in all sectors of the world, really. And the main reason why I want to discuss this is because I know that a lot of people end up going into credit card debt, particularly credit card debt. We'll get into all of those things like Klarna and all that other shit. And the other big elephant in the room, student loans. We'll get there in a bit. But the big thing about it is that this is a basic strapping of people's to the nth degree, to be taken advantage by a certain group of people in order to get richer, and it is quite literally disgusting. I personally am not a fan of interest. I think that usury is disgusting, should probably be eliminated in all facets of society, and those who believe for it, well, you're a certain group of person, but hey, that's a whole different story. The main reason why I want to discuss this is just because I feel like this is affecting literally everybody. I don't think there's anybody that's outside of it. That and all the amount of, even if you're out of, let's say, debt, you're still going to be in debt to the state no matter what, because of, hey, look at that, taxes, because for some reason they still exist. At the quantities that they do. But it's just a very interesting thing that at this point, I think I'm part of that generation that'll probably never be able to stop working. There is no retirement for me, unfortunately, and I can only imagine what it's like for the younger generation, who's probably in the same boat as me. So in today's episode, we're going to be looking at that and a few other things, especially when it comes to just debt in general, and also we might touch upon it, but I want to make a whole episode about the little itty bitty good boy score. Oh, you little good boy score. Oh, you got your credit score up. Oh, you know how to pay back debt. We'll talk about that in a different episode, because I hate credit scores. I think they are the stupidest thing ever. But we'll talk about that in a different episode. But with that being said, I will see you at Mother Base. All right, so started this day off with squats, which are pretty good. But anyways, back to the main subject matter at hand here for today. Generational debt. So the main reason why I wanted to discuss this is because this seems like everyone's fucking having to deal with this. Even myself, I have quite a bit of credit card debt. Not that much, not anymore, because I've been paying it off, thankfully. But at the same time, it's something that I know that I would say maybe 10, 15 years ago, if you told somebody that they were 10K in credit card debt, it would be like, holy shit, that's so much. Nowadays, it seems like it's more common than anything, which is an insane thing to even think about. But it's not that much, but it's still a good amount of money that I'm personally in. But still, the credit card debt is just one of the little things that happen. Another thing that's happening is the housing market being fucked, but I've already made a video about that, and it's only getting more and more fucked. I mean, really, having to basically commute in order to get into the city is probably going to be the major thing that you're going to have to do. It's just the way that it's going to have to happen. It's crazy to me that we have gotten to the point where this terrible type of debt is so common now. We are getting worse, and it's not even
even necessarily just that, but we have also now pay in 4, pay later, Klarna, those types of things that are coming up and making things even worse and making it so that everybody just kind of stays in debt forever. And then you see these people that end up getting into these cars that they loan out or lease out for God knows how long, and just basically are scamming people. I remember seeing one guy that was like, oh yeah, my note's $500 a month for the next 36 years. And it's just like, oh, okay, you just know that this person is just going to be screwed over. Obviously, there are people like that are going to say, oh, you signed the contract. Of course, that does make sense. It's just part of the deal. But at the same time, it doesn't necessarily excuse the fact that this is even possible. Why is this even a thing? You know, like, why are we allowing this to even be happening, allowing the scamming to go on? I'm not even necessarily against it, but it's just a terrible thing that we're just going to keep perpetuating over and over again, especially because people have now been driven into this consumeristic ideal of the world where they have to get everything now. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is because people will basically debt out their future in entertainment now, or food, or anything, just so they can really quote unquote feel like they're getting ahead, but in reality they're just getting things that are basically nothing really, and it sucks. It's just a very terrible idea. I don't even have to go into it, but student loans are also another fucked situation, because you can't even bankrupt yourself out of that. You are strapped in, and imagine if you have like $50K in student loan debt for some degree that maybe you didn't even finish. Now you're strapped to the gills, hoping to God that you end up getting to a point where you can actually use the degree that you got, or just get rid of this fucking thing, or pray that some government body decides to forgive it. But in reality, all these people are fucked. Colleges don't give a shit. They're going to get their money back regardless, so they don't care giving these 18-year-olds the stupid amount of money that they will pay back whenever, you know, in 50 plus years, as they slowly crawl the interest in, you know, from a million kids that go into all these places. College is a different story. We will talk about it in a future time. This also just makes it so that retirement is just a fucking fantasy. It's not real. I think that as time has progressed, the idea of actually retiring at a retirement age doesn't seem real. It seems as though that we're going to have to keep working for basically ever, really. And it sucks, because now I'm like, the last generation to really be able to retire is going to be the boomers and the people who ended up getting lucky in Gen X, and that made it bank and like stuff like Bitcoin, or is it in crypto or things like that. That's the only way that those types of things work out. But now I don't think that that's going to happen. We're going to be in such crazy amounts of debt. And even people who inherit, let's say, a house or something like that, they're going to have to deal with all the taxes that are just going to keep going up. So it's not even like they're going to be able to rake in all of the profits that their houses are worth, even though, let's just say that the housing crisis, that's another issue with the housing crisis, that because who the fuck can afford 90% of these houses nowadays? So I think that it's all multifactorial going in together to make it so that we are all kind of screwed in some way, shape, or form. To find somebody that isn't in some type of debt is actually a very rare thing, I think, nowadays. It's not necessarily the common thing. I feel like it's more common to have some type of credit card debt. And it's because these companies have decided to become the most advertised thing in the universe, which is credit cards. And they are basically the worst things ever. But of course, people have been lied and been told, oh, you need credit cards in order to build your credit score and all that other bullshit, when in reality the credit score and the credit score system is a crock of shit and disgusting. But I don't want to go into that in this episode, because I want to make that the whole episode, because I really want to rant on the good boy score. I feel like at the end of the day, credit card companies have taken advantage of the fact that people have a weird lifestyle inflation that happens as they create more money and are able to get more credit from banks, and allowing them to inflate what they are doing in the world, or how they see themselves in the world. And that's the main issue. I think that until people disconnect themselves from these higher things that they really don't necessarily need, or these events or things that of that nature that isn't really what is necessary to actually produce things in life that, yes, you might have a good memory of it, but at the same time, it's going to strap you down for the next half decade. It's just not going to be worth it anymore. And I think that as time progresses, people might be able to get out of that and see that it's wrong. But I highly doubt it, because the allure of, paying Chipotle off in 4 payments of $3.99 is just too alluring for some.
And we're back. Welcome to the workout debriefing. Exercise is not filmed, none. Exercise is skipped. Also none. Got everything in, thankfully. But anyways, back to the main subject matter for today. Generational debt. So the main reason I want to discuss this is because this sucks. I think a lot of people are fucked nowadays when it comes to debt, at least. If you watch the show, or the online show Financial Audit, it's pretty good in showing you how the worst of the worst when it comes to financial credit card debt, and you can see the commonalities between a lot of the people that are there. A hedonistic lifestyle, a selfishness that is quite apparent, but this is just a microcosm of what is essentially the entire credit card system and everything else around it, plus student loan debt, which that's a whole other conversation. But I think that ties into this whole generational debt, where people are just going to be fucked the moment that they turn 18 and decide to do anything. They just are strapped to what is considered old world stuff now, because newsflash, unfortunately, college is a waste of time nowadays. And it sucks, because I think that now, unless you're a woman, you have a better shot of getting into the trades as a man. If you're not a man and aren't getting into the trades, good luck, realistically. I mean, shit, there are people out there that I know that are still, got their degrees but can't get a job for some fucking reason. And also, it's not like I barely got into my job, thankfully, which is a field I was not expecting to get into. My degree is in tech. I did not get into tech at all. Tech is the worst idea to get something in right now, because everything is going into next level stuff, aka AI, which is probably going to be a bubble that's going to burst sooner or later. But the thing is, people are getting themselves into massive amounts of debt and not really realizing what interest is, and thinking that minimum payments, or just a little bit above minimum payments, are going to be enough to get them by or skirt them through whatever they're trying to do in their life. When in reality, that's going to not be good. That's going to fuck them into a hole, aka bankruptcy, or just having their assets taken away from them, or having their wages garnished. And then they're just going to be a literal wage slave for the rest of their life, because they don't even realize what the hell is a 401k. It's interesting to see this, because you can start to see the effects of this in a lot of stuff when people are buying fucking tickets to go to Coachella on Klarna and then paying it off for $6 a week for the next 2 to 5 years, and then they go again and then add another $6 to $5, and it just keeps continuing on and on and on, to the point where it's becoming untenable. So personally, I fucking hate credit cards. I think they're stupid. I also think student loan debt is relatively stupid. Most of the time, the people who get them are kind of stupid, but at the same time, can't really blame an 18-year-old to be strapped with this, because they're basically told that this is the one way to do things, even though it hasn't been for a while, and it's been just dwindling and dwindling ever since, I don't know, a past 2 decades or so, realistically. But it is what it is. We'll talk about college some other day. But I think that it's just a terrible state that we're in, specifically when it comes to credit card debt, because people do not realize the shit that could cause, and really just halt life really from happening. And even then, when you get out, you're barely scratching the surface, because they don't pay shit for most jobs now. So, but we'll talk about the fake economy in a different episode. But with that being said, though, tell me what you think in the comment section down below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions about this one. This one's kind of random, but still something just to talk about, because everything's so fucked nowadays. Please let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video with anybody who may or may not like it. I will be back on tomorrow with a new video. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will see you in the next one. Keep it heavy. Stay safe out there. Stay warm. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.